On a cold December day in 2010, a frantic 911 call from a young lady called Shannon Gilbert would unfold one of the most frightening serial killer cases in modern American history. What began as a panicked call for aid turned into the discovery of multiple victims buried in burlap sacks near Long Island's South Shore. These ladies, all linked by their vocation, experienced a horrible fate that shocked the country. As the research progressed, a pattern developed. More deaths were discovered, sending authorities on a never-ending search for a serial killer who had gone undetected for years. The investigation would uncover dark secrets, digital clues, and eyewitness statements pointing to a suspect lurking in plain sight. Join us as we investigate the Gilgo Beach killings. How did a successful architect from Massapequa Park become the primary suspect? What warped impulses motivated him to perpetrate such horrible crimes? And how did forensics professionals finally solve the case? This is the narrative of the Gilgo Beach Murders, from the first horrific discovery to the spectacular trial, a tale of horror, mystery, and justice. Stay tuned to find out the dark secrets behind this tragic story. To be notified as we explore the puzzles of the Gilgo Beach case, subscribe and click the bell symbol. You will not want to miss a single aspect of this riveting true crime thriller. The Gilgo Beach case, one of the most frightening serial killer investigations in contemporary American history, began with a surprise twist. Shannon Gilbert, a 24-year-old sex worker, went missing on a freezing December day in 2010 after making a frantic 911 call claiming someone was trying to kill her. Her disappearance triggered a chain of events that resulted in a series of heinous murders, leaving the town stunned and law police seeking for answers. During the search for Shannon Gilbert, 4 remains were discovered along Gilgo Beach on Long Island's South Shore. The skeletal remains of Melissa Barthelme, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Megan Waterman, and Amber Lynn Costello were discovered by authorities on December 11, 2010. These women, like Shannon, were sex workers who advertised on Craigslist. The victims were discovered in burlap sacks, putting a macabre twist to an already horrific picture. Over the next few months, investigators searched the region and recovered 6 more sets of bones. These included an unidentified infant, his mother known as Peaches owing to a tattoo, an unidentified Asian male, and a woman known only as Jane Doe 7. The macabre discoveries spread beyond Gilgo Beach to other places such as Jones Beach and Cedar Beach. The similarities between the victims, their job, how their bodies were disposed of, and the vicinity of the dump locations pointed to a serial killer at large. By the spring of 2011, the Suffolk County Police Department had organized a task team to investigate the case. The team, which included local law enforcement, the FBI, and state police, faced the daunting task of apprehending a killer who had gone unnoticed for years. They began by tracing the victim's final known movements and digital footprints, hoping to unearth a lead that would help them solve the case. Digital forensics played a critical role in the inquiry. The attacker used the victim's cell phones to harass their relatives, indicating that he was constantly monitoring the news coverage. Melissa Barthelme's sister, Amanda, received multiple phone calls from her sister following her abduction. The caller, who spoke in a calm and mocking tone, acknowledged of murdering Melissa and gave chilling details about her final moments. These calls were tracked to Midtown Manhattan, limiting the suspect's likely location. However, the killer's use of burner phones and other security measures made it difficult for authorities to determine his actual whereabouts. Witness accounts. As the inquiry developed, Dave Schaller, Amber Lynn Costello's roommate, provided a critical tip to the task team. Schaller remembered Amber getting into a dark-colored truck with a massive, imposing man he described as an ogre. This description, together with the discovery of a dark green Chevrolet Avalanche, provided a crucial lead. The suspect emerges. The task group identified Rex Horman as a key suspect in the spring of 2022, following years of meticulous investigation. Heerman, a 59-year-old architect from Massapequa Park, met the requirements. He was 6 feet 6 inches tall and drove a dark green Chevy Avalanche. His regular trip from Massapequa to his office in Midtown Manhattan matched the geographic clues previously discovered by investigators. As the inquiry developed, Dave Schaller, Amber Lynn Costello's roommate, provided a critical tip to the task team. Schaller remembered Amber getting into a dark-colored truck with a massive, imposing man he described as an ogre. This description, together with the discovery of a dark green Chevrolet Avalanche, provided a crucial lead. The task group identified Rex Heuermann as a key suspect in the spring of 2022, following years of meticulous investigation. Heuermann, a 59-year-old architect from Massapequa Park, met the requirements. He was 6 feet 6 inches tall and drove a dark green Chevy Avalanche. His regular trip from Massapequa to his office in Midtown Manhattan matched the geographic clues previously discovered by investigators. The discovery occurred when forensic specialists discovered Heuermann's DNA in a discarded pizza box in Manhattan. This DNA was matched to a hair discovered on Megan Waterman's body, establishing a link between Heuermann and the murder scenes. Furthermore, a female hair found on Amber Costello's body was recognized as belonging to Heuermann's wife, Asa Ellerup, who was not considered a suspect because she had a solid alibi at the time of the killings. On July 14, 2023, Rex Heuermann was arrested at his Midtown Manhattan office, marking the most significant breakthrough in the Gilgo Beach case in almost a decade. He was charged with the deaths of Melissa Barthelme, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Megan Waterman, and Amber Lynn Costello. The arrest gave relief to the victims' families and the community, but many concerns remained unsolved. Following Heuermann's arrest, forensic professionals methodically investigated every piece of evidence connected to the suspect. The DNA from the pizza box had already established a link to the crime scenes, but there was still work to be done. Investigators returned to the burlap sacks where the victims were discovered and analyzed them for any more trace evidence. They recovered fibers that matched those found in Heuermann's home, adding to the evidence linking him to the murders. Forensic specialists were critical during the trial, explaining the science behind the DNA matches as well as the significance of the hair and fiber evidence. They showed how the DNA from the pizza box matched the hair found on the victims and how the fibers from the burlap sacks were linked to Heuermann's residence. The prosecution specialists strongly defended their results, underlining the strict procedures used during the inquiry. Heuermann's digital trail revealed important details about his whereabouts and activities. Investigators examined his electronic devices, revealing a distressing history of searches relating to the deaths and the investigation. Heuermann had been constantly following news stories on the Gilgo Beach killings, showing a strong personal connection to the case. Emails and chat records revealed his interactions with numerous escort agencies, indicating that he painstakingly planned his encounters. The prosecution presented a detailed account of Heuermann's crimes, showing how each murder was painstakingly planned and executed. They highlighted the forensic evidence linking him to the victims, as well as the digital trail indicating his involvement in the inquiry. Witnesses, including Dave Schaller, gave first-hand details of their experiences with Heuermann. While forensic evidence was significant, witness testimony was equally important. Dave Schaller's detailed description of the man who picked up Amber Costello was confirmed by other witnesses who saw a similar vehicle near the crime scene. A neighbor of Heuermann also came forward, reporting seeing the unmistakable green Chevrolet Avalanche parked in his driveway during the murders. These testimonies formed a disturbing picture of a guy who lived two lives: a respectable architect by day and a merciless killer by night. As the investigators probed deeper into Heuermann's background, they uncovered more about his well-veiled dark side. As the investigation progressed, the task team connected more dots. A search in the Manorville forests in April 2024 discovered evidence linking Heuermann to the murders of Jessica Taylor and Valerie Mack. Both women's remains were discovered in the early 2000s, and their cases were long associated with the Gilgo Beach murders. The male hair discovered on both bodies matched Heuermann's DNA, adding 2 more charges to his long record of suspected crimes. Furthermore, the search in Southampton's North Sea yielded evidence linking Heuermann to Sandra Costilla's murder. Initially considered to be the work of another convicted murderer, John Bittrolf, recent forensic studies revealed otherwise. The male hair discovered on Costilla's body also matched Herman's DNA, linking him to a larger network of killings. To further comprehend Herman's motivations and methods, the task force sought assistance from criminal psychologists and profilers. They created a detailed psychological profile of a man who exhibited characteristics of a narcissistic psychopath. Herman's capacity to blend in with society, keep a good job, and even have a family life, while committing horrible atrocities, indicated a severely disturbed character. The profilers remarked that Herman's choice of victims and method of disposal indicated a desire for control and dehumanization of his victims. The use of burlap sacks revealed a planned strategy to concealment, whilst the taunting phone calls to victims' families demonstrated a sadistic pleasure in their agony. Following Herman's arrest, his family came into the spotlight. His wife, Asa Ellerup, sought for divorce immediately after his incarceration, separating herself from the misery that had consumed her life. Prosecutors quickly cleared her and the couple's 2 children, Victoria Herman and Christopher Sheridan, of any role in the crimes. They had strong alibis, having frequently been out of town when the crimes occurred. The family's cooperation with law enforcement revealed new information on Herman's activities. Victoria and Christopher regarded their father as tough and dominating, but they never suspected him of such heinous atrocities. This added intricacy to Herman's persona, demonstrating how well he compartmentalized his life. It began in June 2024, gaining substantial public and media attention. The prosecution made a strong opening statement, emphasizing the systematic and cruel nature of Herman's actions. They stressed the physical evidence linking him to the murders, the digital trail indicating his fascination with the case, and the testimony of witnesses who saw him with the victims. Herman's defense team, led by famous criminal attorney Michael Brown, had a steep challenge. They attempted to undermine the forensic evidence by implying contamination and doubting the veracity of digital footprints. They also sought to call witnesses' reliability into question, claiming that media coverage and the passage of time had altered their memory. The prosecution's case was systematic and comprehensive. They presented the forensic specialists who had examined the DNA, hair, and fiber evidence and explained how they linked Herman to the crime scenes. Digital forensics experts testified about Herman's online activities, which revealed his compulsive interest in the investigation and interactions with escort services. Witnesses, including Dave Schaller, took the stand to recall their interactions with Herman. Schaller's thorough description of the man who picked up Amber Costello, together with sightings of the green Chevrolet Avalanche, created a convincing case for Herman's involvement. Neighbors and other witnesses supported these stories, providing a consistent picture of Herman's conduct. In an unexpected move, Herman took the stand in his own defense. He disputed all charges, stating he was framed and the evidence against him was circumstantial. He presented himself as a hardworking family man who was utterly oblivious of the heinous things he was accused of. However, his cool and composed manner during cross-examination did little to persuade the jury, which was presented with overwhelming evidence of his guilt. The prosecution's closing remarks emphasized the strength of their case, citing forensic evidence, digital footprints, and consistent witness testimony. They contended that Herman's conduct and demeanor matched the description of a methodical and vicious murderer. In their closing comments, the defense continued to cast doubt on the evidence, urging the jury to consider reasonable doubt. On August 22, 2024, the jury issued a unanimous guilty verdict on all charges. Rex Herman was found guilty of many counts of first-degree murder, bringing some justice to the victims and their families. The courtroom exploded in relief and emotion as the decision was delivered, bringing an end to a long and difficult road for everyone affected by the Gilgo Beach killings. The case also resulted in substantial changes in how law enforcement treats sex workers and serial crimes. The coordinated efforts of numerous organizations to solve the Gilgo Beach murders established a precedent for future investigations, emphasizing the significance of resources, cooperation, and the incorporation of contemporary forensic procedures. The case received substantial media coverage, emphasizing the role of the media in shaping public perception and its impact on high-profile criminal investigations. While the publicity served to keep the case in the public eye, It also presented issues in handling misinformation and safeguarding the investigation's integrity. Despite Rex Heuermann's conviction, some things remain unsolved. The facts surrounding Shannan Gilbert's death remained a source of contention, with some claiming she was another victim of Heuermann, while others claimed her death was unintentional. The fate of the unnamed victims, including the toddler and Jane Doe 7, remained unknown, leaving an incomplete picture of Heuermann's true horrors. The Gilgo Beach case serves as a harsh reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of seemingly regular lives. It emphasizes the significance of vigilance, the tireless pursuit of justice, and the resilience of communities in the face of unspeakable tragedy. As the Long Island community goes on, the victim's memory will continue to motivate efforts to guarantee that such horrors never occur again.